Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client, Mikey's vlog. It's been a very long time since we've done one of these, maybe a year. Mike's been back on a while, and he said, hey, let's do some vlogging. He's cutting right now. We had him up to 230 after a 2-year bulk. He's down to like 215 at the moment. And let's start off with his max effort upper day. We did a floor press. Right, we did a floor press. He got 345 with a good pause, touches his chest on it. We're real happy with that. And I think having Mike back in the vlogs really highlights what I do with my advanced guys. You know, because I don't have a whole lot of my really advanced, really thick lifters doing vlogs. And you guys know I have quite a few of them because you've seen the clips and stuff over time. You know, got some pretty big, pretty strong guys. You guys don't always see how they train. All right, this is how Mike trains. So we started the week off with max effort floor press for training max. Then we did rep work on the floor press. All right, got him doing neutral grip pull-ups here. And you guys can see from the sheet kind of the other stuff that he does on this day. We do tricep work. All right, we come in and do triceps. He does 5 sets of press downs. So we end up with about 15 sets of supplemental work between the floor press, the neutral grip pull-ups, the tricep press downs. Right now, I only have him doing 1 training max per week on lower body. So we only do single max effort for him, followed by supplemental work. Now, this week, we went with a normal back squat against chains, right? Running pretty light chain setup here. And the chains aren't set up quite as well always at his gym as the way I would like. So you guys will see from some of this stuff, it doesn't look like my chain setup. But, you know, we work with what he's got at his gym. I'd like to see those with lead chains. I'd like to see those with lead chains. And I'm not sure what weight he used there. It was down in the 400s, you know, low 400s, I think 420, 430, plus the chain weight, though. And it's not an insignificant amount of chain. And I think Mike's best back squat so far is around 480. Around 480. We follow that up with good mornings. We like to alternate the cambered bar and the safety squat bar in different phases, kind of like you guys see me do, right? Just like you see me do off and on. But I do like to favor that safety squat bar for him because his low back tends to be a weak link. His low back limits his squat, limits his deadlifts. It always has. We struggle with deadlifts on Mike, right? He's a squatter. He's a bencher, but deadlifts because he's got shorter arms, and we've always dealt with low back weakness. And we've been pushing that up a lot more now that he's got access to a reverse hyper again. So we use that to our advantage. So his max effort supplemental lifts, we tend to hit posterior chain. People are like, but he's got massive quads. Why aren't you doing more quads? Well, that's exactly the point. We don't need it. We don't need it. So I tend to have him do seal rows and then lots of posterior chain work on max effort day. All right, a lot of posterior chain work. So what does that end up being? Good mornings, glute ham raises, reverse hypers. That looks very similar to what you guys saw me do this last week, doesn't it? But it's not because I'm doing it. Mike has been doing this setup a little longer. It's because it's one of the standard setups that I like to run for guys. You know, we do a good morning, reverse hyper, and a glute ham raise for up to 5 sets, all in the same workout. Your posterior chain is done. Now, in his case, we don't do that many, though, because he's not me. We don't push the same volumes there, per se. Always. So because it's max effort for him that day, I have him doing three good mornings, 3 GHRs, and then 5 sets of reverse hypers. Okay, so the volume is a hair lower than what you might see me do because he's got a busier life. Doesn't have quite as optimal of recovery. Yet it works. Look how thick he is. It works. And that's the name of the game, isn't it? Hypertrophy work. All my lifters, my advanced lifters, are thick. They are all super thick. They are stacked. And you have to be. You want to be injury-free as an advanced lifter, you better focus on hypertrophy. And in him, that's what we do. We do a classic conjugate type setup. It's about 5% maxes 20% speed work. And look at that speed work at the bands, right? It's aggressive, it's fast. We run a lot of band tension, right? And then about 70 to 75% of his training is hypertrophy. And of course, he walks in a weight vest, right? Walks in a weight vest for GPP. Does it all the time. All right. Dynamic lower or dynamic upper. What do we got? Speed bench. Then I have him doing dumbbell presses. Now, we don't always do dumbbell presses. We just worked that floor press back in. He was benching with a McDonald bar, but I find that eventually that starts to irritate his shoulders. Can't do it all the time. So here, it's a lot of dumbbell work on this day. A lot of dumbbell work. You're seeing after speed bench, we do the flat dumbbell presses, and I have him do seated dumbbell presses for his shoulders. Now, I do a lot of front raises and other stuff in this slot for myself personally. At the moment, I've got Mike doing seated dumbbell presses. And that came up too. A lot of people are like, had them asked, do you have any lifters who do seated dumbbell presses? I never see you do them, but I laugh because it's like I got like 3 lifters doing them right now, maybe 4, who do them every week. It's just what we're doing in those training slots. Then, of course, he does some pull-ups, right? So we do all that dumbbell work. We do pull-ups. Then we do more triceps. Notice we do back work all 4 days, right? He's doing pull-ups on his upper days. We're doing seal rows on the lower days, okay? So we end up doing a ridiculous amount of back volume. It's 20 sets per week spread out over the 4 workouts. And I know to a lot of people, they're like, that's crazy, that's a ton, and it's like, but that's what we have to do. We've got to bring up the lats, the traps, the rear delts. We've got to bring up that whole upper back, the whole middle back. And then we focus on good mornings and the reverse hypers for the lower. We don't worry about using the lat work to do that for him. All right, speed lower. All right, safety bar squats, box squats against bands. Right, this week, this phase, he's doing sumo pulls against heavy bands. Then we do the seal rows, right? And he's got a bench for that. I want one of those. I don't have the space in my current place. Once I get a house, I'm leaning in the direction of getting one for the garage. Unfortunately, Titan's out of stock, and the Rogue One's nice, but it's so expensive. I don't know if I want to spend that for just a seal row. It seems like a waste, although I am thinking about getting that whole donkey, the Rogue donkey for 2K, because that's worth it. All right, normally we have been doing hack squats in this slot, but his gym just got a belt squat. The gym he's at the moment, they finally got a belt squat this week. So the sheet says hack squats, but we're doing the belt squats. And this is the quad work that he gets, right? We do it on dynamic day because we're already getting some quad work. So if we're going to do it, this is where we like to throw it in. Right, this is where we like to throw it in, and it works well. And he's up to 2 plates a side. We're getting respectable. All right, so guys wonder, where does Mike get his quads? Well, we did do belt squats. He used to have a belt squat at home, if you guys remember too. So we do belt squats, or we do machine work to build those quads up. And the adductors and everything else is, the standard conjugate stuff. It's always funny. People are always like, wait, how come so many of your guys do machines for lower body? Isn't the squat the king of it? Well, the squat is the king of performance. A lot of my people have such high workloads that I don't want a big, heavy bar sitting on their back for squats all the time, especially if we've got to do good mornings, right? Especially if you've got ME work. And we can't afford it. So for those lifters, I'm going to use machines to build their legs. And quite frankly, I don't care what people think about it. They can say, well, I don't like that. Well, who cares? No one asked you shit. My lifters are big, and they're strong, and they're recovered. They recover all the time. So, I don't care what your philosophy or your ideology is. I care about what's going to get my lifters thick, moving heavy-ass weight, recovering, and injury-free. That's what I care about. I don't give a shit about your dogma or any dogma I've had in the past. Doesn't matter. So, what does his lower days look like here? Well, good mornings, belt squats, glute ham raises, reverse hypers. It looks a lot like what you guys see me do because he's got the equipment to do it. And we rotate through this stuff. We use different variations. but it's very, very similar to what you guys see me do in these phases when I do conjugate, because he has the equipment. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.